Hey y'all, it's Terry with Sisterhood of the Traveling Brush, and we are about to work on a flower, or well, some flowers in a vase. I hope you can see everything good. I have provided a supply list. I just have all my stuff out here that you know, where you can see it. This is the heat gun that I'm going to use here. You can use a blow dryer, whatever you have, but I'll have this in the supply list because it's easy to go over. I like to draw out what I'm going to do because I'm going to be you know, sharing it with other people to where you can get a quick visual. You can snapshot this to make things a little bit different if you want them. But I have the supply list, which I will type out for you. So this is just my planning phase. I have palette knives, brushes, my Blick paints, water, my spray gun, my rag, and my supplies. So I'm going to get this out of the way. I always use a spray bottle and mist my canvas before I start. They can be thirsty. My supplies, most of these, this is called a gallery wrapped canvas, FYI. This one is probably 1.5 inches thick. I'm going to use a round brush. This is one of my favorites. I got it from Blick as well. It's called Interlock Bronze by Dynasty 171R. Use whatever brush you want to. This is just one that I happen to love, and I'm going to use it. And use this piece of cardboard that has some dried paint on it as my palette today. My black, this is a Blick Mars Black, and it's very thick. I've used it a lot, and I'm going to use it a lot more till it's gone, and then I'll order some more because it is awesome. And I'm going to draw out where the flowers in the vase and things are going to be with this, even though we're going to sort of paint over with that in a minute with our other colors. It's going to give some depth, sort of depth of character, maybe would be a way to put it, but it's going to give a little bit of little something in the background, whether we feel like it will or not. We'll come around the edges. You know I like to do that, right? I paint my edges. We're going to paint them all black in a minute, but it makes me feel good to do them that way, so I'm going to do it that way. Okay. We're going to have our vase sitting on a table that I probably shouldn't have put that far up, but we'll see what we're going to do. Let's... We got 1, 2, 3, odd number of flowers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, odd number of leaves, and let's move this table down a little bit. It looks stupid up there, so we will move this down. This could have well been done with any dark color. Black, brown, dark purple. I was going to do this in dark purple, and I have half my paint at work, half here. Hope you can hear me over this. I want to dry this just a little. So we're going to go ahead and put in some of our background in here because the background's going to have 2 or 3 layers, and it's going to need time to dry a little bit too. There's going to be more than one layer. We're going to do right now the teal, and this is another method that I use a lot. Is I just squirt me some paint right on the background. This may seem a little bit silly, but it's gonna work out. I'm gonna make this vase teal as well. We're gonna use this palette knife, and this is a Master's Touch. And you know what? I'm gonna get a little bit of white as well. grabbing a lot on the palette knife because I'm just going to put some here and there just like I did with the paint. We probably need to think right now, where is our sun going to come from? And let's say it's coming from here. We'll have everything lighter up here, darker down here. Let's get started. This was called Cobalt Teal. It's a blick acrylic. When you're working with your palette knife, you try to hold it very lightly. I mean, I barely have a hold of it, and scraping across here because that's a very thick amount of paint I got there, and I don't need quite that much. And if I was holding it a little lighter, let me just grab a bigger one here. If I was holding it a little lighter, it would pull those smears across for me a little bit better and use less paint. There we go. I like that. Love this. This is a Blick something 34. This thing's huge. I could ice a cake with it. Love it. Try to get everything to sort of feel like it's radiating off of the flowers a little. There we go. I'm thinking about the way that our vase is standing vertically, so even though it's not going to dry and make much of a difference, when I'm doing my final run through on the paint here, I want that to, if there's going to be some lines showing, I want them to be, for one, vertical, and since this is a round vase, a little bit rounded. So that's what I'm thinking about right now, even though that technically shouldn't make a difference. It does. You can see the difference in it. It does make for a more professional looking finish in the long run, so we're gonna make that happen. These flowers are meant to make me smile, make you smile, make somebody smile. And so I normally would take a pen or a watercolor, whatever you want to do, and write a message on this canvas before you ever spray it with water and before you ever start, with your intention of what you want it to be for the day. And this is for the love of flowers. That's what this is going to be. And that's what I would have written back there. And you know, they remind me of my mama. I would have written, "Mama, I love you," and I still will. That was my grandmother. I'm going to write it right here. I'm going to write, "Love you, Bernie." That was her name. And that will be covered with paint in a minute. Nobody will ever know it was there but me. But it's there. I love her, and my intention is there, and it will always be there. think I'm going to go over that with a little bit of yellow later. So this is so tacky looking, but this is meant to be colorful. You take another palette knife. This is just a plastic one from Walmart. And I love you, Bernie. Hate to cover it up. Looks gonna smear a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Easy, and now I'm going to try to go through, get this bottom piece, which was my aim to begin with here, and we'll bring a little light to the dark side, a little dark to the light side. And we're going to leave it alone. It's done for now. Okay, that took longer than I anticipated, so let's get back to our flowers. My favorite color is purple, so we're going to use medium violet as our main. I'm still going with a dark color for that background. And in there with it, I'm going to go with a little bit of quinacridone violet, which is sort of a deep wine fuchsia looking color. That's very pretty too. You're thinking of the center of the flower. For one, it's always going to be the darkest, but you go out into lighter colors. And I'm going to go ahead and use this tiny little palette knife. This is Artist's Touch. Don't know the size, but this thing is tiny, tiny. See? I'm going to grab some and definitely get some in the middle of each flower. Then I'm going to grab a little of the quinacridone violet, and let's just start doing sort of like C's, apostrophes. Let's get a little bit of that in there. Definitely need, I done used every bit of that up. I was being stingy with my paint, wasn't I? Here we go. And it also in nature, as a florist, I'll tell you this, in nature, if you haven't paid attention to the centers of your flowers are darker and your outer parts of your flowers are lighter. Also, your older flowers are darker, except for their edges, of course, and your smaller flowers look a little lighter. Okay, so now I'm going to grab a little white to go in the mix, and I'm just going to sort of splotch it in here. I'm not wanting it to be completely white. We may use some completely white in a minute. I'm going to splotch some down there. I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit to splotch in with my purple here as well, my medium violet. And so now I have 4 colors. I could probably scoot a little of this right here, scoot a little of that right there, mash it up, and come up with the 5th color. Grab a little bit more of that darker one. Ooh, that looks like blackberry juice. Love it, love it. I love that more than the original colors. Okay, so we're gonna grab a little bit of each of them and keep going. A little C here, a little C here. Grabbing some more white. I don't want to go on here with white yet. I'm going to lighten up, get me a couple of grabs of it, and lighten up this whole mess up in one corner here. Sort of leave it semi-swirled. I'm not trying to come up with another color, but let's get these. I'm going to turn my palette knife this way this time. And I don't mind them leaving hunks in there, because that texture is a bonus. Well, this is all still on my palette knife, a little bit of white, but it's still got that other smeared in, and I'm going to think about my light source. Where would it be hitting? Be hitting right there. Grab some more. Be hitting right here. Okay. I'm going to wipe this off and grab a little bit of that white, what's left of it that's not purple yet, if I can, and just put a little, so I don't waste it. You know how that can go. That can bite you in the hind end later, or not. And go this way. Just put a little bit on my face. It would be catching a little bit of light too. Go this side of my palette knife to make some of these lines pretty thin, because they're just glimpses of light. Okay, I'm under the ring light here. I also have a ring light thing if you're interested in that, but I'm going to mist my black because I'm going to use it again in a minute, and it's sitting there under the light drying out. Still using my same mister. Okay, I think those are very pretty. Let's do something with our green. We have yellow green, green gold, and turquoise green. My main green must be at work. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab a little bit of this burnt sienna. Said I wasn't going to, but I am, because I feel like our greens need a little bit of depth in there, and I don't have a dark green in here, but I have this in here. So I'm just going to put it right just on here. Can you see that? Just on here. I'll add this burnt sienna to our supply list. Leaves are gonna be deepest at their base and lightest at their top, so I'm not worried about how deep it goes. I'm going to switch over for this part to a larger palette knife. I'm going to go next with the turquoise green. Squirt a little on my palette knife, even though this, I'll show you here, is both considered semi a teal or a turquoise. This is a lot different than what we have on the background there, but I'm just going to put a little bit of it out to begin with. Technically, I should probably dry this a tad. Go back with this tiny little palette knife, and I'm gonna have to turn it. So all we're focusing on are the leaves, so I'm gonna try to turn this around to where you definitely can see the leaves, but I feel like I'm gonna work so much better with it this direction right now. Okay, even though our deepest color is this green gold, I'm going to put this turquoise down first. What did they call that one? Turquoise green. I'm going to put it down first. And I probably don't have enough of these out, but we're going to see. Our next color, we're going to do the same thing and start it in the same way. It's going to be the deeper green. That's going to be the main color. We're going to need lots more of that, but that's going to be the main color of our leaves right there. Okay, now we're going to use our lightest, and which is kind of having trouble with the lid here, the highlight color, which is the yellow green. I'm just going to stick with the same palette. Now if it's even still got a little bit of the other color on there, we ain't worried about that. Now we have to think about light again. Where's the light going to be touching? Because this is going to be a bit of our, I'm going to go ahead and scoop out a little bit of light on there. We don't need it. And this is Blick Titanium White. I'm going to put it right there between my greens. Let's just start with getting a little bit of this on here. Think about where the light's coming from. And this more closer to the tips, and then we're leaving these other closer to the ends. Easy, easy. And now I'm going to go in just for some pure white, not much, just enough for the sun to hit. Going to get a little bit of what's left of the green and kind of smash it all up together here for a second. Just through the vase that could potentially resemble stems if this were a clear vase. Okay. I'm going to go with white to begin with. And try to go over this teal a little, and I don't want it to be just plain white, but let's see what happens. This white is mixed in with green a little bit. I'm going to mix all the rest of the white that I have here with this green a little bit and just make it sort of an off whitey, greeny sort of color. I don't want it to look like my leaves at all. I definitely want it to be more white. And let's see what we can do. I'm going to use this. This is called Simply Simmons Angle 3/8 inch. I'm going to wet it. I'll wet my black again. I just misted it a tad there. And I'm going to outline some of this stuff. This is a, well, I said it's a 3/8 inch. It gets a, we'll see if it's going to get a skinny enough line for what we want for some of it. If not, I'll change brushes and I'll tell you what we do. But I'm trying to get some of this black really thin, because it, when you're writing or when you're outlining and when you're doing daintier or more detailed things, it helps if your paint's a little thinner. I love the thick body paints because you can do so much more with them, and when you need them to be thinner, you just add some water and thin them down, and life is good. Okay, let's see what we can do here. definitely thicker than I wanted. Try this long skinny one. This is who knows what it is. It's washed off, but it's got very long thin, it's called a liner, very long thin bristles. But I really need the water to be thin, I mean the paint to be thin, so I'm mixing a little water and then twirling the brush like this to pick some of that up, yet leave me with a point at the end. And I'm not trying to go back to the skin width of the leaves, but we do want them to still be the indication of, hey, that's a leaf, right? I'm gonna use some white and some black. I'm just using the tip end of the brush that I was just using. I just rinsed it off so I would have it. But I'm gonna put a little bit of just dots and things here and there in those leaves to give them a little more character and a little more whimsy. And see, I'm just using my same thing. Just think about your odd numbers, and it doesn't have to go on all of them. We're just adding a little something something here and there, but I am thinking about the side that would be in the shadow. Okay, now I'm going to wipe that off, and I'm going to have to get some more white out because I'm going to do the same thing with the white. Mixing, mixing, mixing with the tip of my brush and twisting. I'm going to add 5. That's a big old leaf. The only thing I don't like right now is the vase. So let's think for a second, look at our colors, think about what we've got, and we could go white with it. And I got the white out already, so that's what I'm fixing to try to do. And I'm going to go ahead and do it with a brush. This is kind of a stiff, flat brush. This one is Growmaker Academy Multimedia 792 Flat Shader. How about that? And I'm just going to grab up some of that white. And then we're going to do our finishing touches, which should change the look of everything. And I'm going to use a brush because we're running so long on time right now. And I think it'll be quicker. And I'm just dampening my brush. It's got a loose head on it. Hope that don't bite me. This is another flat Miller's Gold Fleece Golden Nylon 3/4 inch flat. And I'm just going back to what black we have on our palette here. I'm going to have to spray it because, man, is it, look at this, how dry that is. I want to show you the detail of that. I'm going all the way to the bottom here, to the bottom of my canvas. There we go. Much easier. Things we do to save a little paint, right? Last one. See how that's sort of bringing it in and changing the attitude of it, making a little more dark and different and aged and all of those things. I'm wanting these edges to look a little rougher. It's done. What happens now is you get you a little bitty brush like this. This is a low Cornell round 0, and you pick whatever colors left on your palette that you want to do. And what are we going to do? How should I sign my name? I got that green, probably got a tad of that purple. You know I love that purple. We got a big old blob of white I'm not wanting to waste, and some black. Twirling, remember, trying to get some thin paint barely on our tip. And we're gonna put, where are we gonna put it at? We're gonna put it right here. We'll put a T, because that's me. And this is my first painting of 19, dedicated to burning. And I love y'all. Hope you enjoyed that. And please send me pictures of yours when it's complete. I'll be excited to see it. Thanks. Bye.